Hey guys, what up? It's the Tominator, and this time the topic of conversation is Big Ramy, and something I feel he's not doing nearly enough of. Had you there for a second, didn't I? Nah man, if anything, Ramy needs to lay off the quads for a minute. Take a page out of Phil Heath's old playbook for arms and only train them like once a month. Maybe heed Sean Ray's advice and give it a rest with the lower body pressing movements altogether for a while and just do detail work with lunges and leg extensions, along with hamstrings and calves, of course. But anyway, that's not really the point I wanted to make here. So what is Big Ramy's big mistake? It's simple. He doesn't compete enough. Crazy as it sounds, that's actually one of the major things holding him back at this point, in my opinion. So from that perspective, skipping the Arnold Classic this year was not the right decision. I get that he has a new coach and Neil Hill wants time to work with his new client and learn how his body responds and all that. So from a coaching perspective, I get it. He probably doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks because if Ramy were to do the Arnold and not make top 3, it would look pretty bad. So it's a smart move for Neil to kind of save face and preserve his reputation, but it's not a smart move for Ramy, and let me explain why. The main issue for Big Ramy, I think we can all agree, is the conditioning. Bad conditioning is why he dropped to 6th in 2018, whereas good conditioning is why he came in 2nd in 2017. It's really that simple. That was the only real difference there. So the problem here is that he's inconsistent, right? He clearly hasn't found the formula as of yet in terms of what reliably works for him. And so it begs the question, why the hell does he continue to compete so rarely? I mean, if getting contest ready is your weak point, why do you only practice getting contest ready once a year? Why not enter an Arnold Classic or a New York Pro or one of these smaller shows and just get some more experience under your belt? Experiment a bit, try different things. I mean, think about it. If a bodybuilder has a weak body part, usually one of the very first things they'll do to try and bring it up is train it more often, say twice a week instead of once a week. So by the same token, if conditioning is your Achilles heel, why not try getting into good condition more often? Big Ramy sitting out the Arnold Classic is like a gym bro with skinny chicken legs skipping leg day to train arms again for the 5th time that week. Except in Big Ramy's case, of course, he's skipping show day. Now, okay, that was a bit of hyperbole and not really the best analogy, but hopefully it gets the point across. Because the other side of the equation is that Ramy obviously doesn't need any more size. They don't call him Big Ramy for nothing after all. This dude has all the muscle in the world and a big, wide, skeletal frame to support it. So size-wise, he comes second to nobody. Even if you want to argue that certain guys like Rolly Winkler or perhaps William Bonac are more maxed out pound for pound, the bottom line is that neither one of them is capable of stepping foot on stage north of 300 pounds, whereas Ramy is. He's already done that. So Big Ramy finds himself in a rather enviable position in the sense that he doesn't need to pack on any more muscle. He's already got more than enough. If anything, as we mentioned at the beginning, he actually ought to downsize in certain areas to get back into better proportion, particularly when it comes to the quads versus the calves. Otherwise, he simply needs to refine what he's already got and really flesh out the detail. Most of his competition would absolutely kill to have this kind of problem. And that's one of the major reasons a lot of these other guys like to take extended off seasons, because they're trying to make gains and shore up lagging body parts and just get bigger overall. So the long layoffs are understandable in that case, because it's a lot easier to build muscle at a caloric surplus where you're not worried about gaining a bit of body fat in the process. But again, Big Ramy doesn't need to do this, so why does he keep taking off the full year to focus solely on the Olympia? Putting all his eggs in this one basket just doesn't make sense anymore, and it's not in his long-term interest. It's not like this dude has already won 3 Arnold Classics or something and has nothing left to prove there. Not even. In fact, I had to go back and double check this, but Ramy has yet to even compete in an Arnold Classic, at least the original one in Columbus, Ohio, which holds the most prestige. So the second biggest bodybuilding show in the world and Ramy can't be bothered? Please, man, that's weak sauce. Get it together, dude. And just to clarify something, because I know someone is going to bring it up in the comments, I'm not suggesting that Ramy would have won the Arnold had he competed this year, because with major players like Bonac and Curry at the top of their game, and with the unexpected emergence of Luke Sando, Ramy would have had to have been approaching close to 100% to pull it off, okay? But that's besides the point. The point is not to win here right away. It's to get more experience prepping for these big shows. If it helps him mentally, he could honestly view this as nothing more than like a dress rehearsal for that all-important September weekend in Las Vegas. And even if Ramy missed the mark again and didn't place well, so what? He was only 6th at the Olympia last year, so it's not like he was exactly carrying a ton of momentum right now. And besides, momentum is overrated if you ask me. Bonac won the Arnold last year, and he dropped from 3rd to 4th at the O. Rolly was just coming off his highest ever 3rd place Olympia finish, and he barely squeaked into 5th last weekend. Conversely, Sean Roden was 5th in 2017 before winning it all in 2018. So it would seem like this whole expression, "you're only as good as your last show," is wildly overstated. Now, the silver lining to Ramy falling outside the top 5 is that he does not automatically qualify for next year's Mr. Olympia, meaning that he'll be forced to compete at least once before then. And I think this will actually end up benefiting him because A, it gives him another experience prepping for a show, and B, it prevents him from getting too big in the offseason and not being able to drop all that weight in time like what we saw happen in September. So hopefully Big Ramy and his coach Neil Hill can put it together this year. Remember, this is the guy who also trains William Bonac and Flex Lewis, so if he can't get Ramy full and shredded, I'm not sure anyone can. And I don't know what show they had in mind, but I'm hoping it'll prove to be the New York Pro in May, since that's the next biggest competition after the Arnold. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say for this one. Pretty simple video, I guess, but I haven't really heard anyone else bring this up. So what do you guys think? Do you agree that Ramy should compete more often and that this could ultimately help him get into better shape? Or do you think he should continue to pour all his focus into the Olympia? Personally, I've got one more selfish reason for wanting Ramy to enter more shows, and that's simply that as a fan, I'd like to see him on stage more often. It sucks when you only get to see some of these top bodybuilders in the world once a year, and I'm sure most of you would at least agree with that. But thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Next weekend, we'll be covering the Arnold Classic Australia, so stay tuned for that. And until then, I'm the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.